I work at a beachside cafe in Bondi, and an American tourist marched up to the counter demanding shoes. Not to buy, she wanted us to enforce a shoe policy. She'd been watching people walk in barefoot for 20 minutes and finally snapped. "This is a health code violation," she announced. Phone already out. "I'm calling the authorities?" I explained that going barefoot is normal in Australia. Beach suburbs especially. She stared at me like I'd confessed to a crime. "Normal?" She scrolled frantically. "I'm looking up Australian health codes right now." I watched her type Australia bare feet restaurant legal into Google. Her face went through several emotions as she read. Confusion, disbelief, anger at the internet for being wrong. "These search results must be outdated," she declared. She asked if we had a corporate number she could call. "We're independently owned." She asked for the owner. I pointed to my boss, who was barefoot behind the espresso machine. She ordered a coffee to go and left a review warning. Americans about our disturbing lack of footwear standards. If you're noticing how every one of these moments reveals patterns most people completely miss, this is the level of clarity I bring every week. If that distinction matters to you, lock in with a subscribe. A guy from Texas once stopped me outside a servo. "Do you know you're being robbed?" he whispered urgently. "Your prices are 4 times higher than America." I explained we use dollars differently. "Math is math," he insisted. Down in Melbourne, a woman asked a tram driver why Australians pretend not to tip. She'd researched Australian tipping culture and decided it was a conspiracy to confuse tourists. But those stories are just warm-ups. I'm a pharmacist in Brisbane. An American woman brought in a prescription from her doctor back home. Standard procedure. Can't fill foreign prescriptions without an Australian doctor approving it. She did not take this well. "I have a prescription right here," she said, waving the paper. "From a real doctor with a medical degree." I explained that Australian pharmacies require Australian prescriptions. Different medical systems, different regulations. "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling my insurance company right now." I waited while she spent 15 minutes on hold, then explained to her insurance representative that Australia was refusing to honor American prescriptions. She kept saying sovereignty like it was a magic word. "My insurance lady says you have to accept this," she informed me triumphantly. "We have treaties." I asked what treaties? She said she didn't know the specific names, but they definitely existed. When I suggested she visit a local doctor for an Australian prescription, she asked how much that would cost. I told her maybe $80 with Medicare not covering tourists. $80 to see a doctor? She looked genuinely confused. That's so cheap it's suspicious. She left convinced Australian healthcare was an elaborate scam, and our pharmacy was part of it. Most people hear stories like this and laugh. But the people who stick around here, they're the ones who want to understand the deeper cultural mechanics behind them. If that's your speed, you already know what to do. Work checkout at Woolworths in Sydney. American tourists always have the same panic about bags. This bloke approached my register with a full trolley and no bags. "Normal?" I started scanning. "Wait, where are the bags?" he asked. I pointed to the reusable bags for sale. He stared at them like I'd pointed to a wall. No, the free plastic bags. The regular bags. I explained we banned single-use plastic bags. He could buy reusable ones or carry his items banned. He looked around like he was on a prank show. "You can't ban bags. That's unconstitutional." I noted that Australia has a different constitution. Also, it's an environmental policy, not a rights issue. "This is why socialism doesn't work," he announced to nobody. "Pretty soon, they'll ban shopping." Altogether, he bought the reusable bags, but spent the entire transaction explaining how this would never fly in America because of freedom. He loaded his groceries while muttering about slippery slopes. He came back the next day with the same bags. "Still complaining?" "I'm a barista in Perth." An American woman ordered a normal coffee first thing in the morning. I asked what she meant by normal. "Flat white? Long black? Cappuccino?" "Just regular coffee," she said, already frustrated. "Like from a coffee pot. In a big cup, don't really do filter coffee." I explained we make espresso-based drinks. I offered her a long black espresso with hot water, closest to what she wanted. She stared at the menu board like it was written in code. Why is everything so complicated? Why can't you just brew a pot of coffee? I explained that Australian cafe culture is built around espresso. We don't typically have drip coffee sitting on burners. This is exactly what's wrong with gentrification, she said, baffling me and everyone in line. Everything has to be fancy now. She ordered a flat white, took one sip, and brought it back. This is mostly milk. I asked for coffee, explained what a flat white is. Espresso with steamed milk. She insisted she'd ordered regular coffee and this wasn't it. I offered to remake it as a long black. Why would I want black coffee? She seemed genuinely confused. I need cream and sugar. I made her a long black and pointed to the milk and sugar station. She added so much milk and sugar it was nearly white again. Then told me it was okay, but way too strong. She left a review saying Perth didn't have real coffee. I work at a museum in Canberra, and an American tourist approached the desk furious about our exhibition dates. Your signage is wrong, he declared, showing me his phone photo of a placard reading the 18th of November 2024. I asked what was wrong with it. That date doesn't exist. There's number 18th month, said this with absolute confidence. Someone needs to fix all your signs before more people get confused. I explained that we write dates day, month, year in Australia. So that's November 18th, 2024. He shook his head. The American system is month, day, year. That's the logical way because you say November 18th, not 18th of November. I pointed out that we actually do say 18th of November in Australia. Also, most of the world uses day, month, year. Most of the world is wrong then. He pulled up a calculator. There are only 12 months. Putting 18 first makes no mathematical sense. I tried explaining it's just a different convention, like metric versus imperial. He said the metric system also made no sense, but at least it was trying. You should switch to the American system, he suggested seriously. For clarity. He spent another 10 minutes trying to find whoever designed our signs so he could explain proper date formatting. Eventually, he left, muttering about international standards. I work at a hotel in Cairns. An American guest called reception at 11 p.m. in complete panic. The outlets in my room are broken, he said urgently. My phone's dying and nothing will plug in. Asked if he had a travel adapter. Long silence. A what? I explained that Australia uses different outlets than America. He'd need an adapter to plug in his devices. That's insane, he said flatly. Outlets are universal. That's the point of electricity. I assured him they're not universal. Different countries have different plug types and voltages. He could buy an adapter at the shop in the lobby. So you're telling me Australia just decided to use different outlets for no reason? I explained it's historic how different countries develop different electrical standards. But we're all using the same electricity, he insisted. It comes from the same power plants. I tried to clarify that it's about plug shape and voltage, not the electricity itself. He said that made no sense because physics is physics. I'm an engineer, he added, which I was starting to suspect wasn't true. This violates basic electrical principles. He came down to the lobby in his pajamas to buy an adapter, examined it like a puzzle, and asked if it would convert American electricity to Australian electricity. I said it just changes the plug shape. That seems inefficient, he concluded. I work at a bank in Adelaide. And the day after Australia Day, an American customer tried to come in and found us closed. She returned the next business day, absolutely fuming. I came here yesterday and you were closed, she announced. No sign, no warning, nothing. I explained it was a public holiday. Australia Day? We're always closed on public holidays? I checked your website before I came, she said, pulling up her phone. It says you're open Monday through Friday. I showed her the public holiday schedule clearly listed on the same website. She scrolled past it twice without seeing it, then claimed it wasn't there before. This is false advertising, she declared. You can't just close whenever you want. I explained that public holidays are set by the government, not individual businesses. Everyone closes banks, government offices, most shops. Everyone. She looked staggered. The whole country just shuts down? I confirmed. She asked what people do in emergencies. I mentioned hospitals and emergency services stay open, obviously. What if I need to deposit a check? She said this like it was equivalent to a medical emergency. I suggested using the ATM or waiting until the next business day. She said that wasn't acceptable because she was only in Adelaide for a week. Should have more than one Australia day per year, she suggested. So everyone gets a chance to do their banking? She filed a complaint with corporate about our inconsistent hours. The best one happened at a doctor's office in Hobart. I'm a receptionist, and an American patient came in for a standard consultation. The doctor saw him, everything was normal, and then he came to check out. I told him his total was 0. Bulk billed, so Medicare covered it. He stood there, silent, for a long moment. What's the catch? I explained there's no catch. He has Medicare coverage, the doctor bulk bills, so there's no out-of-pocket cost. But I saw a doctor, he said slowly, for like 20 minutes. He wrote me a prescription, confirmed all of that. Still $0? Is this doctor not qualified? He was genuinely searching for the scam. Is he practicing without a license? I showed him the doctor's credentials on the wall. Fully qualified, 20 years experience. He just bulk dash bills. The man sat down in the waiting room and pulled out his phone. He called someone, I assume his wife, and said, "Honey, I need you to look something up. Is Australia real?" He spent 15 minutes researching whether Medicare was a pyramid scheme. He asked if the doctor was going to charge his credit card later without permission. He wanted documentation proving he wouldn't receive a bill in 6 months. In America, this would cost $300 minimum, he said. Probably $500 with the prescription. I told him the prescription would cost him money at the pharmacy, but probably under $30. He looked like he might cry. "What's wrong with your country?" he asked. I genuinely couldn't tell if he meant it as a compliment or an insult. He left convinced he'd somehow cheated the system and was waiting for the consequences. Look, we're not perfect. We have drop beers. Everything tries to kill you, and our internet is famously terrible. But watching Americans discover that other countries just do things differently never gets old. Coming up, the time an American tried to pay a parking fine in USD because it's the reserve currency.